Hello again, everyone, and welcome back to Skyblock News. Today we're going to be going over the second foraging update that also includes a new hunting island. Both of those have released as part of Point 27, and there is a lot to go over. Before we begin, make sure to like and subscribe. Use code RAIL on the Hypixel store for 5% off your order, and without any further ado, let's get started. To begin with, if you come over to the back part of the Moonglade Marsh and you have at least Heart of the Forest 4, you can go to the Taurus Canyon. This is a massive second foraging island that basically involves the same overall mechanics as the first. For example, there are chapters here, there are a bunch of trees that you chop down using sweep, and so on and so forth. The fundamentals of this island are not too different. There's even the equivalent of Agatha contests here with Myria over here. And if you complete these Myria contests in the same overall way, as you can see, it operates in the same structure, you get, as a reward, tickets to the other new island as part of this release, the Critter Safari. You just have to come over to the right side of the entrance area, you speak to the receptionist, as well as the Safari Manager, and you can trade in those tickets you get at Myria to enter the Critter Safari. This is a whole separate hunting island that I won't actually be covering much in this video because I have a complete guide already, and as you can see, there is a massive queue at the moment. We won't be getting in for a while. You might also be wondering what else is there to do on this island other than do the Myria contests and get access to the Critter Safari to unlock all the new critters. Well, you can also chop down these Helix trees all around the island. You have to chop down the light logs first, and then the dark red logs in order to chop them efficiently. And by doing this, you'll receive a bunch of Helix that can be turned in for a decent amount of money. If I go over to Helix, you can see that an enchanted Helix log NPC sells for 3,200 coins. The price right now is super inflated on the bazaar, and you can see that the NPC price for Helixus, the super condensed version, is 512,000 coins. So this should end up as a decent Iron Man money-making method, and if you're on a normal profile right now, you are swimming in cash. On top of that, though, you're also able to make new gear pieces with all of this. For example, you're able to make Helix armor. Same way that you would make the Fig armor, for example, with the Fig Stone. You're just going to take that same Fig gear, then put a bunch of Helixus around it, and then boom, you get your Helix gear. You can also make the Helix chopper. You'll need the Fig Stone splitter as well as some Helixus and some Flexbones. They've also greatly changed how Flexbones work. Now they have a flat 25% chance to replace any treasure, and you get more of them if you get a super rare drop. So for example, if you get a good catch, you're only going to get one. If you get a great catch, I think you get 2 to 4. And if you get an outstanding catch, you'll get 8 Flexbones. So this process should be way easier. And as you can see, if you're a normal profile, the price of Flexbones is falling very quickly. When you chop down these new trees, you'll be getting a bunch of Desert Whispers. This is basically the equivalent of Gemstone Powder to Mithril Powder. It allows you to unlock the perks in the higher parts of the Heart of the Forest tree. They have completely reworked the tree. For example, as you can see, Forest Strength and Forest Speed are all the way up at Tier 8, which is a new tier. I'm not the biggest fan of a lot of these changes. I think that the tree is maybe a little bit too top heavy in terms of all of the buffs, but I haven't had a lot of trouble on my main. Then again, on my main, I was maxed already on the first island. For now, just experiment with the new tree. When you log in, you should have it fully reset. You'll also get Desert Whispers already if you had more than 15 million prior to this update. So if you had more than 15 million Forest Whispers, all of those extra Whispers would have been converted for you. So that is something that you should take advantage of if you have access to it. Mess around with the tree, figure out what works for you depending on what you're doing. There's stuff in here that's a little bit different. As you can see, like the hunting fortune is way lower. There's also a perk now that allows you to get more points towards Starland contests. Stuff is just swapped around a little bit. As part of this update, you can also reclaim pretty much all prior foraging gear in order to get the boosters back on that gear. As you can see, my boosters are now white, and that's because they are common. If you want to get the uncommon ones, you come over to Maxim over here, and he'll give you the upgraded boosters for a little bit of a cost. It'll be a bit of Figstone, as well as Mancores, and some Helixus. And as you can see, per booster, it's going to be 1 Figstone, 1 Mancore, and 1 Helixus. So if you want to get all of these upgrades on all of your gear, it is going to be a bit expensive, but the buffs seem to be worth it. There are also these honey hives all around the island. You can click on them in order to get some honeycomb. This is part of a new collection associated with this update. As you can see, the honeycomb collection And within this collection, you find a few things. First, you're able to get these pots of honeycomb that you can put on trees, and then after a little bit of time, you'll have a critter spawn from that tree, and you'll be able to interact with it. So you can find these trees all around. They are part of the tree protection orders. Not necessarily this one right here, but this one is an example. You'll be able to lather this one with honeycomb. There are a few of these also on the Moonglade Marsh, so you'll need those items in order to interact with these trees. Now, you can't just chop them down, but if you max out the honeycomb collection, you'll be able to get the honeycomb necklace. This gives you some more foraging fortune and sweep, and it's an upgrade from the mangrove locket. As you can see, you need enchanted honeycomb blocks, as well as Helixus, and the vials of spring water, which come from the final tier, I believe, of Myria's milestones. So if you max out the Myria shop, you'll be able to pick these up, and then boom, you'll be able to get this honeycomb necklace. You can also fish well on the Taurus Canyon, and that will get you Ruby Veilshroom. As you can see, this allows you to get a few new things, including a new talisman line that allows you to upgrade the speed of your black holes all the way up to 15%, which is pretty crazy. Going to require Veilshroom bunches, which you get from the Ruby Veilshroom, as well as Helixus. And if you fully max it out, you'll be able to get the large pocket black hole. You'll need the medium pocket black hole, 8 bottled mischief, which drop from pucks after you chop down the trees, as well as Helixus and Veilshroom bunches. And on top of that, you'll be able to get the Veilshroom bracelet. This is similarly an upgrade to the mangrove grippers. You'll need 2 Veilshroom bunches, 4 Helixus, and a vial of spring water, again from Myria. If you want to get these, you'll have to fish for them, of course, but there's also a few places down underneath the area of the Taurus Springs where you can basically get the Veilshrooms pretty much for free right there. The Helix collection itself doesn't have too many rare and special items within it. There is another new line of accessories, the Lumberjack line. For this, you'll just need a bunch of enchanted Helix, a bunch of Tenderwood, and even more enchanted Helix. And then for the final upgrade, you'll need Helixus as well as Vine Sap. And that will get you up to a 15% reduction in the cooldown for throwing your foraging axe. Of course, there's the Helix armor as well as the Helix chopper. We've already gone over those. There's also the Hawk shard here, which grants +1 Helix fortune for every digit in your Helix log collection, up to 10 mil. This one will require a lot of Helix logs and enchanted feathers and enchanted eggs. And if you max out this collection, you get +1 foraging level cap, 150k foraging XP, and 4 Skyblock XP. If you want to fully max out the foraging skill again, you'll need to complete Myria's milestones here. You'll need to go all the way up to milestone number 5, so 3,000 total points, and this will unlock in the shop more of those level cap upgrades for you to pick up. They are relatively expensive. I believe they require also Myria prizes, which are the same basically as Agatha prizes. They just drop rarely, from filling in the brackets here, as you can see. And if you get enough of those, you'll be able to turn them in for those levels. The scope of this update is truly massive. If you open up your attribute menu, you can see there are 320 attributes in the game now. There is no chance I'm going to be able to go over every single one of them, but they affect pretty much every part of the game. You want damage against more types of mobs? You want, for example, some more fishing speed, more tracking against certain creatures, and better junk catches? You want to farm and get more items from visitors, or reduce cooldown of pests? You want to forage and do pretty much anything? You want to mine and get a bunch more, I don't know, like mining spread? There you go. There is stuff here pretty much for everybody. There will definitely be guides coming out in the very near future. I don't know if I will have one specifically, but I will link to them as they become available. Hunting is now also a level 50 skill, and you may notice that Charm Chance has been turned into a full stat. It doesn't work any differently than how it worked before. As you can see, it's the chance that you have to charm mobs that you kill. They'll drop their attribute shard if they are charmed. This should give you some more access to the stat at level 50. You'll get 2 total, which I guess isn't really a lot. But you do get a lot of hunting fortune for leveling this up, which is nice. And it works as a full skill now. There is also a new Starborn temple underneath the springs in the Taurus Canyon. If you're able to go all the way down, you will need a lot of pressure resistance, by the way. I'm using Abyssal Armor with a Mythic Flying Fish at the moment to try to get down here. But if you are able to, there we go. We're now at the Starborn temple. If you want to get inside the temple, first you'll need to do the puzzles. The first involves a color match. You'll have to match the colors on the floor here to the colors on the wall from least to most. So as you can see, this is cyan first, We'll click on that and there will be green particles that show up. The next one is going to be yellow. So we're going to come over here and we're going to click yellow. Then we see that red is the next most. There we go. Then brown. And then orange. And there we go. Now we get to go inside. Next, this is a bit of a predator-prey challenge, and I already have it set up in its solution format. So as you can see, the hawk is pointed towards the snake because it will eat the snake, which will eat the frog, which will eat the fly, which is pointed at the door. I guess trying to leave, I guess is the joke there. But if you're able to do that, you will be able to get inside here, and then you'll be able to interact with the temple altar. This will give you some pretty solid buffs. You'll get double the hunting fortune from the will bonus. This is the bonus that you get from everybody else interacting with the temple. As you can see, I have 3.33 hunting fortune from it. You'll also get 25% faster black holes and hunt traps. And if you want to donate to it, it will cost you Helix logs as well as coins. 20 days, though, is only 1.4 mil plus 40 enchanted Helix logs. That is basically nothing. This is a super solid buff. Also, as part of this update, there have been two major texture changes. As you can see, the Terminator and the Aspect of the Void both look a little bit different. I like the textures a lot more now. I think they are much, much better. The Bestiary system has also been changed out significantly. Now, pretty much every single Bestiary is a lot more lenient than it used to be. The reason why is that the team is changing their Bestiary philosophy. They want for players to max out their Bestiaries at a reasonable point when playing content, so they can use the Bestiary bonuses, such as the Magic Find and the Coin bonus, to improve their rates when grinding for a mob's materials or RNG drop. This basically means that going forward, they're going to be keeping Bestiaries much more in check, and they have done one big pass to try to lower the vast majority of them in the game. Also, if you look at the Moonglade Marsh section, you'll notice that there is now bestiaries for pretty much every single mob and critter that was on the island. This is basically a thing they're doing. Every single critter is going to be getting their own bestiary, as you can see. On the alpha, there was also a major worry about some farming-related nerfs that have not come to pass. Last night, the team dropped an alpha update that removed all of these farming nerfs, and as you can see, for example, the Pest Hunter bonus is still only 40 pests. They have also not made any changes to some of the enchantments. So if you look at the enchanting guide, you can see that if you look up harvesting, for example, it still gives 75 total farming fortune. Of course, if you are a farmer, you do get access to many of the new shards that should give you some bonuses in terms of farming. We won't be covering pretty much everything on the patch notes today, but there are some important things to note. When you go into the Critter Safari for the first time, you'll be given a Safari belt. This is the only thing that you take into the Critter Safari, and even if it starts out not great, you do upgrade it by getting critters within the Safari area. So as you can see, that'll give you the upgrades of Rarity, Hunting Wisdom, Hunting Fortune, Cold Resistance, and Foraging Fortune on the belt. So if you participate in the Critter Safari a lot, you'll get these upgrades, and you'll be able to take full advantage of it. Some other big changes to go over: they have adjusted the NPC sell prices of certain Galatea woods. For example, Mangrove went from 8 to 15 per, which is really nice. They've also removed most of the sources of percent sweep in the game because it would have gotten out of hand with the new update. They've reduced the tree gift milestones for all tree types. They've also changed the Jade Dragon egg cost. So as you can see, it's 64 Figstone now, 64 Mancores, and 64 Helixus. Again, they have redesigned the Heart of the Forest tree, they have bumped up the hunting skill cap from 25 to 50, and they have made a lot of shard-related changes. Nothing too major, just ID changes and family changes, making the system just a little bit more logical. There was also a worry alongside this update that you would not be able to one-shot pests anymore due to some changes to how the damage against Pest Shard would work. However, they have buffed the base vacuum damage and Bookworm's favorite book, so you don't have to worry about this at all. They've also added new shards for pretty much every single pest currently in the game. A lot of these are not the strongest, I'm going to be real, but they all do exist at the very least. They've also adjusted the Dodo shard, as you can see. It now gives tracking instead of pet luck, and because of that, they have reduced the tracking granted by the private island beacon. Previously, it gave you up to 5, now it only gives you up to 2.5. This is totally fair. I would rather it come from a actual attribute anyway than having to go to my island and turn it on and off. Totally reasonable. They've also adjusted the stamina bars of critters to now scale with shard rarity. So as you can see, a common shard will only be 1 stamina bar, then 2, then 3, then 4, and then 5 for legendary. This is when you're using the lasso on the critter. The team has also removed the perks and bonuses from the Crow and Bow pet that reduce pickaxe ability cooldowns. The reason why is that there is now a shard that does effectively the same thing. Although you do lose 5% from the Crow, you won't be able to get that 15% reduction. It will only be a 10% reduction. They've also made the Dark Cacao Truffle go from +1 Global Fortune to +1 Cocoa Fortune. I don't really fully agree with this. They state it's because it's not compatible with their vision for the game in the long run. Would love to see more detail as to what they mean by this, but that is a loss of a little bit of global fortune, which does kind of suck. Also, if you go down all the way, you can find that they have changed out how recommed summoning eyes work. As you can see, now they scale more linearly, so every summoning eye you place that's recommed gives you a 12.5% chance of getting a superior dragon, and it goes up and up and up all the way to 8 out of 8. They've also changed out the Dragon Piper Draconic Essence Shop perk. As you can see now, it makes it so that summoning eyes have a plus 5% chance to be recombobulated, which is super solid. I think this is going to make dragons a little bit more fun. There's also a Skyblock OST now included with the game. You can find it on the Taurus Canyon, as well as the Hub, the Garden, and the Moonglade Marsh. These are not note block songs, they are fully orchestral songs in Skyblock, and you have to turn up your jukebox note blocks volume so you can hear the OST. We've gone over the Bestiary changes already. They have a full list of change logs here for you to go through if you would wish, so I'll have that linked down below, as well as the texture adjustments that we've already gone over, and they go over what's coming in the near future. First, there's the Ministers update. It's currently deep in the QA phase. Once ready, it'll be put on the alpha network for an extended period of testing and iteration. There is also going to be a mob level improvement update coming to Skyblock. As you can see, mob levels are not currently very accurate in Skyblock. Like, for example, the Zealot Bruiser and the Kalhwiki tribe member are both currently level 100, despite the tribe member having 15,000 times more health. The goal is to make mob levels automatically generate coins, skill XP, XP orbs, and mob levels for every mob in the game that accurately reflect how difficult the mob is to kill. This is done by taking into account contextual factors like a mob's health, damage, and place within the game's progression, whether it's a boss or mini-boss, whether it's a sea creature, which tier it belongs to, so on and so forth, although they can still manually set rewards. They also write here, it was blacked out, but I think that was just an accident. The goal here is to ensure players are appropriately rewarded for defeating stronger enemies, which should make areas of the game, such as the early and mid-game fishing and combat, better for skill XP. Thank the Lord, that is really good to hear. And the visual mob level above every mob's head to slowly increase linearly as you progress through the game. This will be very solid. It's probably a very non-controversial update. I think people would be happy with a bit of an upgrade of fishing XP in the early and mid-game. Same thing with combat. They're also working on a quality of life bundle update. As you can see, we are always working on quality of life features to make the game easier for everyone. This upcoming bundle contains key changes such as making bulk buying from Jax easier, reducing the crafting recipes for exportable carrots and the blood donor artifact, and more. And that's all for today. Wrapping up here, the Taurus Canyon is truly a mammoth release that includes a lot of new features added to Skyblock. Would love to hear what you think about the update down below. I think overall, many of the new features are going to be great for the game in the long run. Hunting is massively expanded. Iron Men got a new decent money-making method in the form of foraging. The XP rates seem to be fine overall. Heart of the Forest Tree might need a bit of work, as well there might be some other things that I think could be looked at a little bit. But overall, I think the game is moving in a solid direction, and this update is, once again, huge in scope, which I think is very exciting to see. Again, if you want to see the Critter Safari Guide, I have that link down below, and it will be on your screen at the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching this video till the end, and look to the future, fellas. I'll see you then.